From our Chicago studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Samana, Siddiqui. A former U.S. Army officer says Washington covered up evidence that Israeli troops deliberately killed journalist Shireen Abu Akleh in 2022. This and more on today's show, so stay tuned. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has ordered the military to launch intense strikes on Gaza, threatening to collapse the fragile ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas. His office says the decision follows security consultations held Tuesday. In response, Hamas says it is delaying the handover of a prisoner's body, citing repeated Israeli truce violations. Israel has violated the U.S. brokered agreement more than 100 times since it went into effect on October 10th, according to Gaza's government media office. In a statement, Netanyahu's office said the army was instructed to immediately carry out powerful strikes in Gaza. According to Israel's Khan public broadcaster, Netanyahu is speaking with senior U.S. officials to coordinate the move. Israeli soldiers have killed at least 8 Palestinians and wounded 13 across Gaza in the past 48 hours, despite the ongoing U.S. brokered ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. The Palestinian Health Ministry said 4 bodies were also recovered by civil defense authorities from the rubble. Gaza's government media office accuses Israel of 125 ceasefire violations since October 10th, killing 94 Palestinians and wounding hundreds. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu alleges that Hamas breached the deal by returning the remains of a previously recovered captive and said Israel would decide on a response. Civil defense teams in Gaza City recovered 50 bodies from a makeshift grave near Al-Shifa Hospital, most of them still unidentified. Officials said they lack DNA testing tools to identify them. According to the UN, over 1 million hot meals have been distributed in southern Gaza, but only 300 aid trucks entered over the weekend, half the required daily amount. Israel's genocide in Gaza has killed at least 68,527 people and wounded 170,395 since it began in October 2023. A former U.S. Army officer says Washington watered down findings on the May 2022 killing of Palestinian-American Al Jazeera journalist Shireen Abu Akleh. Colonel Steve Gabovics told the New York Times that evidence pointing to an Israeli soldier's deliberate fire on the U.S. citizen was ignored. He helped prepare a report for the U.S. security coordinator after Abu Akleh was shot dead in Jenin while wearing a press vest. Gabovics said he was shocked when the State Department dismissed Abu Akleh's killing as just a tragic incident. He said Israeli radio intercepts showed that soldiers knew journalists were nearby and that the shots were precise, not random. Gabovics accused officials of removing his conclusions and sidelining him from the review. Rights groups and UN investigators earlier found Israel responsible for killing Abu Akleh, although no one was punished. The Israeli army has demolished 5 Palestinian homes and a farm structure across the occupied West Bank. Troops claim the buildings lacked permits. Witnesses say Israeli forces raided the town of Al-Funduq near Qalqilia and tore down 2 two-story homes. 2 more homes were destroyed in Marj Ghazal village near Jericho and another in Furush Beit Dijan, east of Nablus. An agricultural shed was also raised in Deir Balut, west of Salfit. All demolitions took place in Area C, which remains under full Israeli control under the 1993 Oslo Accords. Palestinians say Israel almost never grants building permits there, blocking development. According to the Colonization and Wall Resistance Commission, Israel has demolished more than 1,000 structures since October 2023, displacing thousands. The International Court of Justice recently ruled that Israel's occupation of Palestinian territories is illegal and urged the evacuation of Israeli settlements in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. A 53-year-old Palestinian woman is recovering in a Ramallah hospital after being beaten by Israeli settlers during the olive harvest near Turmusaya, north of Ramallah. Afaf Abu Aliya says settlers attacked her family, beat them, and burned their vehicles. Video footage shared online shows a masked Israeli settler repeatedly striking Afaf on the head until she collapses. Her relative, Ayman Abu Aliya, says he escaped before settlers torched their car. He vowed they would never abandon their land despite the violence. Israeli settlers routinely attacked Palestinian farmers under the watch of Israeli soldiers to drive Palestinians from their homes. The Palestinian Ministry of Agriculture says Israelis have destroyed more than 15,000 olive trees across the West Bank since last October. In July, the International Court of Justice ruled Israel's occupation of Palestinian territories is illegal. A new Suffolk University poll shows Democratic candidate Zohar Mamdani leading Andrew Cuomo by 10 points. Details after the break, so stay tuned.
My name is Layla. I was an average kid until Zula Inc. broke into my life because my dad discovered time travel. After that, everything changed.
You're the new girl Layla, right?
Whoa! What if I don't fit in?
Abdullah!
Do I hear my name? Welcome to Vancouver, cuz.
Whoa!
You four have been specially chosen to take our project into the next generation.
You can time travel?
Abdullah! No! Abdullah! Where?
Do you really think I don't know why we had to leave Seattle, Mama?
Now here, keep these close. These should never leave your wrist.
This virtual reality game is crazy. You can even eat. This is reality, buddy. We zoomed through a wormhole.
Oh no! My Go Watch! It's gone!
What does this do?
That's Al-Khwarizmi. You know, the father of mathematics. It's because of him we have algorithms.
I will not stop until your legacy, everyone's legacy, lies in ruins. Of course it was you. You little rascals ruined everything.
Your fate will be great. Just don't give up.
Time hoppers.
More than 1,000 civilians have fled the Sudanese city of Al-Fasher as fighting between the army and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, intensifies. According to a local aid organization, 1,117 people from 360 families reached Tawila in North Darfur after escaping worsening violence. This brings the total number of displaced people in the area to more than 3,000 since mid-October. Al-Fasher, the main humanitarian hub for the Darfur region, has been under siege since May. Civilians trapped inside the city are facing severe shortages of food, medicine, and clean water. Local NGOs warn the displaced families are in desperate need of shelter, food, and medical care. The United Nations says about 260,000 people remain trapped in Al-Fasher, including 130,000 children suffering from acute hunger. The conflict between Sudan's army and the RSF has killed thousands and forced millions to flee since it began in April 2023. Pakistan is turning to the sun to beat its energy crisis. From rice mills in the country's largest city, Karachi, to textile factories in Faisalabad in Punjab province, businesses are switching to solar power to escape soaring electricity tariffs and frequent blackouts. Experts say solar now makes up 14% of the country's power supply, tripling in just 2 years. In some rural areas, it is already 25%. Industrialists say the shift has slashed their bills by half. However, environmentalists fear a looming wave of electronic waste as millions of used panels and batteries near the end of their life. Pakistan, which ranks among the world's most climate-vulnerable countries, has no recycling system in place. Officials admit the challenge, but say it is not yet alarming. Experts insist the country must act fast before its solar success turns into an environmental hazard. Syria's notorious Sednaya prison, which was once dubbed the Death Center, will soon become a national museum. The new transitional government led by Ahmed al-Shara says turning Sednaya into a museum will preserve memory and mark a break from Syria's brutal past. Drone footage from the country's capital, Damascus, shows the grim facility where thousands were executed during former President Bashar al-Assad's rule. Human rights groups say prisoners were hanged weekly between 2011 and 2015 in secret underground chambers. No official record was ever released, but survivors and reports estimate thousands were killed. Sednaya became the symbol of Assad's decades of repression and fear. The prison shut down after the regime collapsed in December 2024 and Assad fled to Russia. Since then, mass graves have been discovered and detainees freed from other facilities. A new opinion poll in the run-up to New York City's November 4th mayoral election shows the Democratic nominee Zohran Mamdani leads rival Andrew Cuomo by 10 points, 44 to 34%. Republican Curtis Sliwa is trailing at 11%. The survey conducted by Suffolk University polled 500 likely New York City voters between October 23rd and 26th. Cuomo has regained support among Hispanic and independent voters, now leading both groups, slightly after trailing last month. The poll's margin of error is 4.4%, showing that Mamdani is still ahead citywide, but facing a tightening race as the election approaches. Saudi Arabia has ended its decades-old Kafala, or sponsorship system, in one of the most significant labor reforms in the Gulf region's history. Announced in June, the decision replaces the employer-linked sponsorship model with contract-based employment. It will grant nearly 13 million migrant workers greater mobility and legal rights. Under the new rules, workers can change jobs and travel abroad without their employer's permission, marking a major break from decades of restrictive practices. The reform aims to align Saudi labor laws with international standards and support the country's Vision 2030 plan to diversify the economy. While businesses face higher compliance costs and potential wage increases, they also gain flexibility and access to a more competitive labor market. Human rights organizations have praised the move as a historic step toward fair labor practices across the Gulf, ending years of worker exploitation under the old system. British journalist Sami Hamdi remains in U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, custody after his arrest in San Francisco. Rights groups say he is being punished for publicly criticizing Israel's genocide in Gaza. Hamdi was detained while arriving for a speaking tour. U.S. officials accuse him of supporting terrorism but have yet to provide any evidence. The Muslim Council of Britain has urged London to take urgent diplomatic action, saying the detention of a journalist for his views is unacceptable. The California chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations is backing Hamdi's defense. The Muslim Legal Fund of America and the HMA law firm will jointly represent him in court. Supporters say Hamdi's continued detention reflects a troubling crackdown on Muslim journalists who challenge Israel's policies. A new kind of battery could change how the world stores energy. The Iron Air battery runs on iron, water, and air. Developed by U.S. firm Form Energy, it uses rust to generate power. When air reacts with iron in the battery, rust forms and releases electricity. The process can be reversed, allowing the battery to unrust and recharge repeatedly. Form Energy says 80% of the materials are sourced in the United States. Company co-founder Yetming Chiang calls it both safe and affordable, noting that air is free and iron is cheap. A pilot project in Minnesota showed a 1.5 megawatt battery could power 400 homes for 100 hours with no fire risk. Experts say such technology could complement other next-generation solutions like solid-state and lithium-sulfur batteries in driving a cleaner, more reliable energy future. That's all from our Chicago studios tonight. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. Please donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Salam.